Dissecting Resident Evil's history is no easy task. 15 years ago, this might have been an autopsy, a post-mortem in the wake of Resident Evil 6 when the series seemed to have lost its direction. But in the time since then, through bold reinventions and a string of exceptional remakes like RE2 and RE1, the developer has clawed the series back to vitality. But now, the inevitable question: what actually makes a good Resident Evil game? Is it tense survival horror, tactical action, intricate resource management, or a delicate balance between all three? Well, the truth is, Resident Evil is thriving because it veers between each philosophy, sometimes within the same game. This chameleonicness is why ranking these games become an exercise in hair-splitting. And yes, some titles sit more comfortably at the bottom, but as we climb higher, the margins become razor-thin, and that's where the real debate begins. Now, before we dive in, some quick housekeeping. We're only considering the mainline numbered entries here, and where a remake exists, that's the version that's included. So we're talking about the original's 2002 remake, the reimaginings of Resident Evil 2 and 3. There's no room for the spin-offs nor the side stories, and there's no Code Veronica, just the core lineage, ranked from least favorite to best. So we ready to disagree? Good.
There's no one left to help you now.
I don't need anyone else. I have Ouroboros.
Number 10. Resident Evil 6. Resident Evil 6 is defined by excess, which isn't a bad thing when taken on its own. You see, the problem is its disparate parts. Leon's horror-tinged trudge, Chris's militaristic gunning, Jake's stalking menace. They offer no cohesion. Horror at times becomes secondary to gunplay, while tension erodes through QTE abundance. That balance that we spoke of in the intro, nailing that is what captures Resident Evil's identity, but Resident Evil 6 doesn't know what it's supposed to be. While there are flashes of intrigue, like Leon's opening chapters bleeding into Chris's disarming change of pace, when it brings an ambition, it ultimately fails in delivery. Number 9. Resident Evil 3 Remake. As a standalone action horror, Resident Evil 3 Remake is slick and polished, if altogether too brief. In fact, it's this brevity that's the title's downfall, with the developer seemingly more intent to capitalize on Resident Evil 2 Remake's success and rush through a follow-up without considering what made Leon and Claire's Raccoon City revisit so revolutionary in the first place. Entire sections from the original Resident Evil 3 are missing, while Nemesis's dynamism was reduced from defining feature to background flavor. Without replicating the original's depth, intricacy, and detail, RE3's half-hearted remake is a missable misstep. Number 8. Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster. We're discussing Resident Evil 0's HD Remaster here as, like our preference to focus exclusively on remakes in this rundown, Zero's 2016 version, with its revitalized graphics, sounds, and new game modes, represents the more definitive way to play the 2002 original. Now placing Resident Evil 0 so early is bound to divide your opinions because, despite a nostalgia-baiting narrative, polarizing inventory management, and tame monster design, it brought a then experimental dual protagonist setup, where you simultaneously split your attention between Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen as they shuffle through the Ecliptic Express, a dead train that's as atmospheric and claustrophobic as the Spencer Mansion. Yet the real reason Zero sits at 8th is its uneven presentation. A solid entry for sure, but it falls short compared to Resident Evil's other fixed camera exploits. Number 7. Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 features action-heavy gunplay but balances its delivery, especially in comparison to the explosive bloat of its follow-up. Taking the story to Africa, the 5th mainline entry's co-op capability brought some nifty puzzling and striking set pieces. In fact, so tight was 5's cooperative play that playing along with an AI companion instead paled heavily. That, and there's one other key ingredient missing. Resident Evil 5 is the least scary game in the entire series. Whether it's the bright, sun-scorched scenery or firearm-heavy gameplay, 5's horror is largely absent. Number 6. Resident Evil Village. Village has confidence in abundance, Borrowing the first-person perspective of its predecessor, you're again living through Ethan Winters' absurd nightmares, this time drawn to gothic Eastern European backwater on the hunt for his daughter. The opening hours, particularly inside Castle Dimitrescu, are laden with atmosphere and tension, whereas later sections vary wildly, from psychological horror to outright gun-toting chaos. Village doesn't quite get the balance right throughout, but at least the developer ground their ambition with a semblance of restraint, celebrating Resident Evil's ability to switch between tiptoeing tension, tactical action, and strange happenstance with aplomb. Number 5. Resident Evil 2002. Where it all began, Resident Evil remains a masterclass in mechanically enforced tension. Pre-rendered backgrounds, tank controls, fixed position cameras, and ruthlessly tight inventory. Unavoidable game design limitations of its era. These were utilized to deliver a methodically paced survival horror that some modern titles still struggle to replicate. 2002's remake expanded puzzles and explorable areas, while 2015's remaster improved lighting, shading, and textures, and is the definitive version, the occasional dodgy-looking backgrounds aside. Now look, there's no getting around it. The Spencer Mansion is an enduring triumph of level design, with its interconnected oppression informing countless other locations throughout Resident Evil's lineage. And in terms of pure craft, few games can boast the same laser focus as the original Resident Evil. Number 4. RE4 Remake. RE4 Remake has smooth controls, sharp visuals powered by the RE engine, and a strong sense of tension throughout. It keeps the genre's core identity intact, balancing a survival horror atmosphere with the punchy, crowd control action that made the genre stand out. The result is a game that delivers intense action moment to moment without losing its horror genre roots. Number 3. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Biohazard represents the series' much-needed reinvention. Its first-person paranoia reinstated the shuffling dread which had arguably been absent since the fixed camera days. Paired with the labyrinthine Baker Mansion with tight, suffocating corridors and prowling Jack Baker, in Resident Evil 7, you had another key ingredient restored: vulnerability. Emotional charge propelled the narrative as Ethan Winters scoured Louisiana swampland for his missing wife, supporting the game's narrower focus. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard resuscitated the franchise, proving that wide-eyed horror, first and foremost, is Resident Evil's beating heart. Number 2. Resident Evil Requiem. Well, here it is. Straight in at number 2 is Resident Evil's latest entry, Requiem. Pitched as a culmination, Requiem is self-aware and reflective, a fresh chapter which interrogates the series' legacy while securing its future. While its marketing push hints at a threading together of lingering narrative threads, it's the game's dual protagonist setup, with timid newcomer Grace and battle-hardened icon Leon that draws you in the most. Grace's intimidating tension gives way to Leon's gun-heavy bombast, and vice versa. Throughout a twisting narrative, what's striking is just how mature the series has become. That balance we keep alluding to, of equal parts action, dread, and tension, only now has the developer perfected it.
This day just keeps getting better and better.
Number 1. Resident Evil 2 Remake. This is it though, the series at its most balanced. Resident Evil 2 Remake marries modernized controls and over-the-shoulder perspectives with the same meticulous terror its forebearer established all of those years ago. And crucially though, Resident Evil 2 Remake respects its source material. The Raccoon City Police Department is the same dread-inducing puzzle box, yet amplified by the cavernous stomps of Mr. X, hands down still the franchise's most intimidating stalker. While Resident Evil has reinvented itself multiple times across the decades, never has past and present melded together so seamlessly. Is it tense? Yes. Do resources matter? Yes. Is there enough shooty action to keep the gunheads happy? Absolutely. This isn't just the best numbered entry, but the blueprint to which all Resident Evils should be.
And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.